everyone, and thanks for joining me for a Sketch Sunday. Today I am doing January 2019 from Page Maps, and I'm more specifically doing this particular Page Maps sketch, which is designed by Becky Fleck. So I've cut all my little squares. They are 3 inches by 3 inches. And I started arranging them and working out how I want those laid out. I had a couple of spares up my sleeve so I could interchange those. And then I got out my American Crafts Knockout Punch and the scalloped edge. And I scalloped around 3 of the patterned papers. So then in my brain, and I rounded off the corners. So then in my brain, I wanted to have a scallop in each row, a vellum in each row, and that might have been my whole criteria. A scallop in each row, a vellum in each row, and just not more than one of the same pattern in the rows. So it took me an embarrassingly long amount of time to work out the way I wanted my coloured pattern papers in that grid. But I eventually did it. And now, as you can see, I've pulled out my sewing machine. So up until this point, I'm sticking really, really closely to the sketch itself and the actual whole design of the sketch. But it's now with the photos that I change it up just a little teensy bit. In the sketch, the photos are vertical, and so the whole sketch is a vertical layout. Well, I've sort of flipped the sketch around or turned it so that I can work with some horizontal photos. And instead of putting the photos down the center, I'm popping them off to the one side, so over to the right. And because there's so much going on with the pattern paper, I'm just going to mat my photos on just a plain white cardstock because I figure there's probably enough happening with all the pattern papers in the grid that I don't need any more than that. I then had started to have a little play around with my ephemera, and I'm really liking the idea of kind of a black base piece to my cluster and a word phrase type thing. So I'm starting to have a little dig through that massive pile of ephemera. That's like a big mix of all the ephemera that I have. 99% of it is reject shop collections all just thrown in together, but there are a few other collections, so you'll definitely notice there's some other things that are not from the reject shop in amongst there. So I'm happy with how this is looking in general, and now I'm just going to build it up. So I'm just going to build up those little cluster bases there, add a few more word phrases, add a little bit more to that bottom Christmas tree. What else can I add to that Christmas tree? Just having a little play here of what I can do. So I end up going for 'Tis the Season, just Merry Bright Christmas. I could have done the end, actually. There is an ampersand in the collection. Just didn't even think of it until right now. Then that one says 'Tis the Season, Sleigh Bells Ring, Jingle-ling-a-ling, or something like that. And then down the bottom, it says naughty time of the year. Now, obviously, we talk all the time about presents and being naughty and nice, but at that moment in time in my brain, I was actually playing on the fact that in the photographs, we're playing Cards Against Humanity. And if you are familiar at all with that game, you'll probably be aware that a lot of it can be quite rude and quite almost vulgar, I guess, depending on your sense of humor. So I thought it was a little bit of a naughty game to be playing. And I actually am really, really terrible at Cards Against Humanity because I am far too prim and proper to be able to play it properly. So just putting it out there. I don't know if you would have picked that from me or not. You can tell me in the comments if you like, but it's 100% true. I really was terrible at I could watch and I could laugh and I could appreciate the funniness of it. I'm not actually that prim and proper, but when it came to actually combining my cards together and coming up with the most hilarious concoctions, I couldn't do it. I was dreadful. So this is about what my layers are going to consist of, or my my clusters, my embellishment clusters are going to consist of. Just having 1 or 2 little embellishments and then word phrases along with those. And just one at each photo and just alternating on either side. I already mentioned that I just matted my photos in plain white. I contemplated matting them in a cardstock, but thought there was enough going on. I was actually going to do like a tissue paper or something, and I definitely could have for the texture, but in the end, I add a different form of texture, and I'll show you that in just a moment. Bear with me while I stick on all my rest of my things. Are you enjoying our Christmas in July series so far? We've been so busy this month. We didn't mean to be. It's just kind of happened. We've got our Sunday sketch, Super Sunday sketches that started this month because, why not do more things? And we just thought that was a bit of fun. We all love a little sketch, and when we're not feeling it and we need to try and create something, it's nice to know we can fall back on sketches and that they can be super easy, and you can still create really wonderful, amazing things. So that's a really nice, weekly thing addition to our channel. Then we're caught back up. We're back on track with our mixed media frenzies. So they're every Friday. Then we've got our Grab 5. We're back on track with that for this month. Then we've got our Copa Confessions of a Paper Addict design team layouts. And there are 6 of those between the 2 of us for the month. So we've been really busy this month. I've actually played with 1 free choice, in inverted commas, layout for the entire month, where I haven't been, this has to be a sketch challenge, or this has to be a Grab 5, or this has to be a mixed media frenzy. So just 1 on my entire channel. How ridiculously crazy is that? Not every month is going to be like this, but it was really interesting this month to have that happen. So I've pretty much finished with my clusters. Sorry, that was just a little side note I was chatting on about then. And I'm now going to work on a title. So I had originally thought I wanted to use a title along the lines of Cards Against Humanity to sort of explain what exactly we were playing. But A, that's a really long title. And B, I wasn't really sure it depicted kind of... We play family board games, or a game, every Christmas with this particular side of my family, no other side. And I thought it's like a bit special that we do that. So I actually wanted it to be more about the fact that we play these family games. So I actually changed the title completely. It's supposed to say Ellis Family Games because that's the family surname. But for some reason, I just couldn't spell. Luckily, Katie was here and she's like, dude, you spelled the name wrong. I'm like, no, I didn't. I've got all the right letters. Yeah, all the right letters in the incorrect order. What a noodle. Anywho. So I mentioned earlier that I could have used tissue paper or something to add a little bit of texture, but in the end I actually have pulled out some white thread, and I did that on purpose. Apart from wanting texture, I wanted to tie in that stitching, that white stitching line had a bit more of a purpose, that it was there for a reason, not just because I wanted the border, but it ties in with these little, what's the word? Like little thread clumps. I don't know the correct word for that, that I'm popping in amongst all 3 of the clusters as well. And I think it's really improved the layout by just adding something as simple as that thread to just add a little bit more texture. I'm really happy with that. So once those are all on and I'm happy with how they're looking, I'm going to splatter on a little bit of gold, of course, because one can never make a layout without some gold. So sprinkle that on. And then I am finished. So I do have some close-ups for you, so I will definitely have those coming up in just a moment. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed following me along for this 10-minute video. It's a little bit of a long one. Maybe I've inspired you to do a grid layout or pull out your border punches. I know that that's something that I always forget to use, or even your sewing machine. Katie said that. I'm like, oh, I've got to get out my sewing machine. So thanks for watching. I hope you are enjoying your Christmas in July, and I will see you next time. Bye, everyone.